Hey guys, welcome to my Illumina Weakpoint build guide. So as you can see, I have not a whole lot of might, not a whole lot of vitality. This build isn't really about that. It's about steamrolling with weak point damage. As you can see, I have just under 270% weak point damage, 225 critical hit bonus, and about 37% crit hit chance. It's a little low, but that's okay. It does pretty well. In the main hand, we got the Wanderer's Ambition. While inner focus is active, you deal 48% damage, and enemies deal 25% damage to you. It didn't roll perfectly. I would have preferred crit instead of weapon technique charge speed, but it's still pretty good. Weapon technique charge is not bad. I just would have preferred to have the extra 5% crit on this guy. The offhand doesn't really matter, but I'm using Void Sight because it's bugged. Amulet here is the Amulet of the Betrayer. This is about the best one that I have. I haven't augmented it all the way up because augmenting is currently bugged right now on most pieces of gear aside from weapons and I think banners. Maybe even the life stones, but yeah, as far as I know, it's bugged on pretty much everything else, so I'm keeping everything at about an upgrade level 2 until all this crap is fixed. But in any case, Amulet of the Betrayer, if you would be reduced to 0 health, instead remain at 1 health and become invulnerable for 5 seconds with a 10-minute cooldown. But there is a neat little trick. If you do proc this, and you do get to 0 health, you can, once you're back in a nice healthy state, you can unequip this and then re-equip it to reset the 10-minute cooldown. So that's a nice little trick. In the charm slot, we're using the Lion's Talisman. Whenever you perform a critical hit, gain 7% weapon technique charge and 30% weapon technique charge speed for 10 seconds. This one rolled not great. It came with crit, so I thought, whatever. It's going to give me 11% crit, so I stuck with it. Everything else is completely useless for this build. What isn't useless is Wise Embrace. Whenever you hit a weak point, gain 197 overhealth, and your overhealth no longer regenerates. It rolled with 3 resistances, so I am totally fine with that. I mean, I would have preferred to have, maybe some weak point damage in there, but what are you going to do? In the other ring slot, we're using Ancestral Band. Whenever you hit a weak point, gain 2% Archon Fury charge and 38% Archon Fury charge speed for 10 seconds. It rolled with Archon Fury damage, takedown damage, and banner charge speed. It's not a great ring, but because of the synergy and how much weak point damage and how many times we're hitting weak points in a fight, we're full overhealth and we're nearly constantly in Archon mode. It is just silly what we get out of this build. So Archon's Tear, I mean, everybody uses Archon's Tear. It's pretty much the best legendary lifestone in the game. This one rolled, again, not great. It came with weak point damage, so I was happy with that. I upgraded it. And 35% critical hit, well, 34% critical hit chance and 145 critical hit damage. Not bad. Mess's Banderole as the banner. Again, not great rolls. Shield damage and Soul Shatter buildup. I mean, Soul Shatter buildup's pretty good, but shield damage, it's useless. I never use shield. Weapon technique damage is pretty good, especially for the active on Wanderer's Ambition, because of how dual blades work and they're active. It's active for a pretty long time, and we get a lot of benefit from having weapon technique damage on there. Anyways, let's move on to augments. Now, I'm rocking on a PS5, so because of that, I actually have to keep my augment power usage at 90 out of 100. Otherwise, I'll show you what happens. You know what? Never mind. I'm going to save that for another video. But essentially what happens is the augment page gets extremely bugged out. Super, super slow. You can't move from one augment to the next without... You see that kind of slowdown that just happened? Right there. You can't move from one augment to the next without that slowdown happening for at least 5 to 10 seconds. It is just brutal. But let's go over the augments. So we're running Focus. You gain 48 overhealth whenever you perform a critical hit. And we're critting a lot with this build, so we're getting a lot of overhealth out of this, especially when paired with the Zwei's Embrace. Anytime we hit a weak point, we're getting overhealth as well. So we're getting a lot of overhealth out of this build, and our overhealth never diminishes because of Zwei's Embrace. So, ooh, it's good. Secondary weak point damage and weapon technique damage. I think that was good enough for me to upgrade all the way, even though the upgrades on augments are bugged. That 20% weak point damage should be at 40 once we upgrade it to level 3. So fix these bugs, please. The Lion's Pride, gain 59 overhealth whenever you defeat an enemy. And 18 physical resistance, not too bad. Again, overhealth, synergy. Restore 341 health whenever you place your banner. That's on Hypnotize. We got Archon Fury damage out of that one. And I upgraded that to get the additional might on it. Down here we're using Loyalty. Whenever you hit a weak point, gain 1% Archon Fury charge and 38% Archon Fury charge speed. This synergizes very well with the ring that we're using, the Ancestral Band. Whenever you hit a weak point, it's basically... like, Loyalty is basically just a weaker version of Ancestral Band, but having them both work together is just fantastic. You'll see later on when I show you the gameplay video of this how long we're able to stay in Archon mode just because we're constantly proccing weak points. It's fantastic. Anyways, it rolled pretty well with weak point damage and weapon technique damage, so I upgraded this all the way as well. Force Banner. While above 50% overhealth, your attacks cannot be interrupted. Now, the secondary stats on this are kind of garbage with water damage and earth resistance. I don't do water damage, I do air damage with these weapons. And earth resistance it's pretty much the worst resistance in the game. Nothing really does earth damage. But this is the only force barrier that I have. So it's the one that I'm using. Because of how much overhealth we get out of this build, we are almost always able to stay above 50% overhealth. So we're just a wrecking machine. And we cannot be stopped unless something knocks you to the ground. That still stops you for whatever reason. Divine Conduit, gain 50% Archon Fury charge speed for 10 seconds whenever you are hit. Rolled with Archon Fury damage. So that's not too bad. We get hit a decent amount because of how much we're above 50% overhealth. We don't feel it. We just keep going. So we're getting hit. We're getting more Archon Fury charge speed. Frostfire, 35% critical hit damage during Rampage. It rolled with weak point damage, so I kept that one. And yeah, we're in Rampage all the time, basically. So we almost always have 35% critical hit damage. Paradise, 20% weapon technique charge speed for 10 seconds whenever you perform a critical hit. Rolled with weak point damage, so that's the one I'm using. What can I say about this? It's a smaller lion talisman, right? So whenever you perform a critical hit, gain 7% weapon technique charge and 30% weapon technique charge speed. But again, using the two of these together just makes it so you almost always have full weapon technique charge, and you can always activate the dual blade inner focus, and which is what you want. You want to have that bonus 48% damage at all times. Alright, and last but certainly not least, Surety. This is what makes this build. It's what makes most builds. It's the most broken augment in the game, essentially. Whenever you hit an enemy with your Northern Technique, expose the enemy's weak points, and deal 94% weak point damage. This can roll higher. I think it goes up to 115 or maybe even 120% weak point damage the next time you hit a weak point. It rolled with weapon technique damage and weak point damage, so this was a pretty good one for this build. I refuse to upgrade it beyond level 2 until they fix the bug where I can actually get more weak point damage once I hit upgrade level 3. If I upgraded this right now, I might get 1% weak point damage, but it would likely stay the same. So, again, whenever you hit an enemy with your Northern Technique, expose the enemy's weak points. Now, Inner Focus, you keep that up. It's a buff, right? You keep that up, and you hit an enemy with Inner Focus active, it procs Surety. So you hit them once, and there's a small lag on the augments page. So you hit them once, exposes their weak point, but I mean, Inner Focus is still active, so you hit them again, and it exposes the weak point again, and again, and again. This is what makes this build so strong, and what you'll see in the gameplay footage after this. What synergizes so well with all of the augments and all of the gear that I'm wearing. You'll see that you'll see some damage numbers that are just ridiculous. Like I think the highest crit I've gotten on this is about 370,000. It's stupid. But anyways, that's pretty much the build, and I'm going to leave you guys with some gameplay footage now. So let me know what you think, leave a like, and subscribe if you like the content. I'm not a big YouTuber, so if you enjoy this format, let me know. Sound off in the comments. Thanks a lot, guys. You can tell I don't do this a whole lot. I forgot to look over the skills page. Haha. But anyway, these are the skills that I went for. I'm not going to go into too much explanation on it. You can take a look at the screen yourselves. I have ailments here just because I have a couple ailments builds as well that I like to switch between. And changing these skills, it's just way too much of a hassle. So this is my general go-to DPS build skills page. It works well for this build, it works well for my ailments builds as well, so if you like it, use it. If you don't, use something else. But this is the page that I used to get the clips that you're about to see. So, again, enjoy.